Man, I don't know how I feel about making this video. I feel like it's something that we kind of have to talk about, but I know it's somewhat of an annoyance at this point for some of you in Vancouver and in Edmonton who are always watching these videos and saying, man, the guy hasn't even signed yet. What news is there to talk about? Of course, we are going over the Russian KHL, SKA St. Petersburg free agent Andrei Kuzmenko, a guy who is heading over to the NHL after his 4-year KHL contract expired, and he is a player that could be as good as a top 6 forward with some very good pizzazz and point-producing abilities. Now, we can go over the entire scouting report as to whether or not he'll actually be good enough to play in the NHL, but we've done that so many times. Just go over to any of the other videos we have made talking about this player, because this video right here is not going to be more about the player and his talent on the ice, but rather the player and everything he's been through off the ice the past few days. This is mostly because the Edmonton Oilers and the Vancouver Canucks appear to be 2 of the finalists in this entire sweepstakes. Now, there could be some other teams that are finalists as well, but we haven't necessarily gotten any confirmation, any indication from anybody directly in contact with the situation yet as to who those teams could be, but Vancouver and Edmonton have been confirmed. So the reason we're even making this video is because Andrei Kuzmenko this week set out to travel to both Edmonton and Vancouver in order to make his final decision. Take a look at some of the tweets over here. This one was on June 13th, which was Monday, published by Darren Dreger. Busy week for free agent Andrei Kuzmenko. He will be interviewing this week with Edmonton and Vancouver, as well as 2 US-based clubs. Kuzmenko is hoping to make his decision in the next 10 days. Now, 10 days from this tweet would be the 23rd, so we have about a week-ish from now before Kuzmenko will actually make his decision. But when it comes to the other teams that have been involved here, the US-based clubs, we actually haven't had too much insight as to what they could be. I saw a video floating around of Kuzmenko apparently being in Detroit because there was an Instagram story showcasing a huge Pavel Datsyuk memorial thing in one of the Red Wings rooms, but we didn't have any other information on that, which is why I'm not really bringing it up here in this video too much. When it comes to Edmonton, though, there was a pretty significant amount of media coverage going over everything that happened in Alberta. This is an article on CanucksArmy.com written by Quadrelli, very good friend of mine, who said this: a day after the Oilers took him to Joey and gifted him a signed Wayne Gretzky jersey, Andrei Kuzmenko was in Vancouver to meet with the Canucks. Now, we're going to be using the tweets and everything that were highlighted in this article to just kind of paint a picture as to what Andrei Kuzmenko did during his time in Edmonton earlier this week. We had ourselves an Oilers fan, or I guess they're an Oilers fan because they're in Edmonton, but they posted a picture of Ken Holland hanging out at Joey's with Jay Woodcroft. Contract negotiations, possibly? We then had some people saying, hey, one of the guys that was in this picture was the agent Dan Milstein, so it's very likely that Andrei Kuzmenko was indeed courted at Joey's by Ken Holland and the rest of the Oilers staff over there. And I'll just say it right here, it is kind of creepy that we do have fans that are in a position where it's like, hey, look at that, that's Ken Holland. I'm going to take a picture, post it on Twitter, and now all of a sudden everybody on the West Coast knows, okay, this is what they did. They brought him to Joey's and they did the thing. But either way, it happens, especially when you're in a hockey market. That is not all, though, because the Oilers appeared to have gifted a signed Wayne Gretzky jersey to Kuzmenko as well, as the agent Dan Milstein posted this on his Instagram story with the caption, P.S. Don't get any ideas. So, right away, there's a pretty good pitch for Andrei Kuzmenko coming straight from the Oilers. Obviously, you know, Ken Holland was definitely going in there and saying, like, hey, you're going to play with Connor McDavid. There's a good player here, and Draisaitl as well if you don't mesh with Connor. So we've got some good talent. You can come over here. Here's a signed Wayne Gretzky jersey. I hope you'll like it here in Edmonton. I hope you'll like it here in Joey's. However, for the Vancouver Canucks, we already had some other word as to what they were doing, because the day after Andrei Kuzmenko wrapped up in Edmonton, here is the tweet from Rick Dhaliwal on the 15th. He visited the Oilers today, which means he'll be in Vancouver tomorrow, so the 16th and the 17th, apparently, which were yesterday and 2 days ago. And it was kind of funny because Dan Milstein, the agent, definitely did not hide any of the stuff that the Canucks were doing for his client in the same way that he sort of did with the Oilers. Now, we had the jersey from the Oilers, but for Kuzmenko in Vancouver, there was an immediate dinner that took place, or I guess late brunch, something like that took place at the Blue Water Cafe. This is one of the restaurants that Francesco Aquilini owns. It's across the street from Eliza. They are two pretty notable restaurants that have very expensive food items. And so, just seeing the guy's smile on his face as they were looking at the menu, doing the thing. Also, it's Dan Milstein that posted this picture on social media. We also had some other pictures of Kuzmenko in the downtown Vancouver area. He's standing behind some buildings, which is pretty cool. And then Dan Milstein made this post on his regular Instagram feed of him saying, hey, last stop, where should Andrei play next year and why? It's him on top of a building near Rogers Arena. You could see BC Place in the background over there, and Andrei Kuzmenko has a very big smile on his face. It's kind of funny because all the comments of this post on Instagram, almost as if it was formulated, you know? All the comments are from Canucks fans, Canucks people saying, hey, Vancouver, it should be Vancouver. Vancouver, man, come to Vancouver. And you know, if it does end up being Vancouver, we don't really have any reason to be surprised. I mean, this is an article from Rob Simpson on Vancouver Hockey Now from yesterday. Dan Milstein pointed out to Vancouver Hockey Now Thursday night that the actual presentation for the Canucks begins Friday morning and that the timetable is open, meaning that the efforts could continue through lunch. The player and the agent did not indicate when they planned on leaving town as of yet. We also had ourselves a little tweet here from Dollywall saying that Bruce Boudreau met with Kuzmenko and his agent in Michigan last Friday. Patrick Allvin was there as well. So, there you go. Bruce Boudreau also getting involved in the conversation last week. So, there's been a lot of courting here going on about the Canucks and Andrei Kuzmenko. This is what Chris Faber said. I'm getting a good vibe from the Andrei Kuzmenko crew about Vancouver, and they still have dinner to get to. Harrison Price said this on yesterday's edition of the show. I do believe in my heart the Vancouver Canucks have a very, very, very good chance to land Kuzmenko, as quoted by Rick Dollywall on the show. So even though this is technically an Edmonton versus Vancouver thing, it feels more and more like it's a Vancouver thing than anything. This is what Faber also said about the entire thing. This is the strength of the Canucks pitch. Patrick Allvin has been watching Kuzmenko for 9 years, and I believe that Bruce Boudreau's reputation means a lot here. The Canucks don't have McDavid or Draisaitl, but they do have a high level of comfortability for Kuzmenko. The Oilers, who are another frontrunner, are without a Russian on their roster. I'm sure that having Vasily Podkolzin, who is a former teammate of Kuzmenko's with SKA St. Petersburg, will help the cause as well. Kuzmenko's agent said, it's not a big deal. I'm still assuming it has to help a bit. And so, yeah, it feels like Andrei Kuzmenko's entire day yesterday in Vancouver was documented, posted about, and shared throughout so many Canucks fan social media feeds that if this guy ends up not choosing Vancouver, he ends up debating everybody and going to like Edmonton or Detroit or Vegas or something instead, then I'm gonna be kind of shocked. Like, you don't see all of the hype, not just from the player, but from the agent as well, on one city only for it to not go that way, right? I don't know. I guess we will see when everything does finalize where Kuzmenko ultimately decides to sign, but from everything that we've been seeing, there's a lot more meat to the bone with the Vancouver Canucks than it appears with any other team. So, Dan Milstein, if you go out there and convince your client to sign anywhere else, then I'm going to be ticked off because of all the debating that had happened earlier on this week with the dinner posts, the Blue Water Cafe posts, the interviews, Kuzmenko looking super happy to be in Vancouver and just walk around the streets. A lot of people were kind of pissed off in Edmonton that I saw, because on the day Kuzmenko was there, presumably when he was hanging out with Ken Holland at Joey's, it was raining, and it was raining pretty hard in Edmonton. And a lot of Canucks fans over here on this side of the province were like, yeah, no, it's good here. It's sunny in Vancouver. We've got our warm June weather coming up here. It's not too cold. It's not too hot at the same time. It's pretty okay, and it's a nice, beautiful day. It seems like Mother Nature is on our side, because Kuzmenko's day in Edmonton got rained out, whereas over here was fine. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below about Andrei Kuzmenko and the Canucks and the Oilers. I know we are waiting for a decision, and it kind of sucks that I had to make this video, but I did feel it was kind of funny to just talk about everything, you know, the dinners and the Joeys and the jersey and the weather and all that. Talk to me in the comments all your thoughts about Andrei Kuzmenko and the Canucks and the Oilers. I hope you enjoyed this British Rolls 99. and bye.